Hey, it's Amy. Welcome back to my channel. After spending months, weeks, countless hours working towards your goal race, and then you race it and realize, what now? I know after I finished Boston, I was kind of sad and a little lost because I didn't know what to do. If you recently finished your goal race or soon to be finished it, this video is for you. I share 6 important questions to ask yourself and to reflect on after your race. So let's dive right into it. It's so easy to jump immediately back into training again after your race. We like to run and we don't like to take a lot of downtime, especially if the goal race didn't go exactly as you planned. It's so easy to want to go back into training immediately to try to accomplish your goal or just to train again. However, if you do this, you can miss out on a huge opportunity, and that is to reflect and learn from your training build and from your race. This information can be critical in informing your next training build and race. Especially if things didn't go exactly to plan, you might want to change some things, or if your race was awesome, you want to recreate what you did for the next training build and race. So to help you reflect and learn from your recent race and training build, I have 6 questions for you to ask yourself. Question number 1, what can you celebrate from this race? I think it's always really important to start with something positive, and even if it's just something very little, it's just you put so much work into this race and training build that you should be proud of yourself. No matter how the race went, you did a training build and you raced. I just think it's important to reflect positively. A few things you can celebrate is if you accomplish your time goal or you just finished the race. Did you miss many days from injuries in your training build? Did you notice how many people were cheering you on during the race? Was this the first in-person race you've done in a while? Were you able to travel to the race? I think it's so important to enjoy and be happy about all the time you put into your training build and the things that you were able to accomplish. You grow and get stronger every running build you do, and it's an awesome thing what our bodies can do, like run a race. What did you do before, during, after your race, and what can you learn from the whole experience? There's always something we can learn from our runs and our races. One example is, what did you eat before your race? And was it something that worked out, or do you need to try different foods next time? Or did you follow a pre-race warm-up routine? Did that work for you, or do you need to find a new routine or new exercises? How early did you wake up? Was it enough time? Was it too much time? Did you achieve your goal of pacing and fueling during the race? If so, awesome. If not, maybe you can think of a different way to approach your pacing and your fueling strategies that you're able to actually do them. What things did you find helpful during the race? Were you able to latch on with a group of runners? Did you have a mantra that you used? Did you utilize positive thinking during the race? All these things are important to remember, and if you didn't do some of them, maybe you can think about doing them for the next race. Another part of this question is, what did you do immediately after the race? Did you wish you did something different? Did you have enough food? There's so many different things that, could be changed, or if they were successful, then you can do them for next race. Again, it's important to think through all these things that you did before, during, and after, so it helps you get prepared for the next race. Question number 3, how did the race go? What did you feel at the beginning? Were you feeling relaxed and ready to go? Or did something feel off? Did you feel tired, sore, heavy legs? What did you feel? It's a good idea to listen to what your body was telling you. If maybe it didn't like your gel, if you had a gel right before the race, if you were feeling icky, or if you walked too much the day before, our body likes to, again, tell us things. Did you feel any differently during the race? Maybe there were some good parts or some tough parts, and can you think about things that might have triggered that? For example, good parts could be, the crowd's cheering and you get excited. Or some tough parts where maybe your heart rate got spiked and you started feeling not so good. Maybe you can prepare yourself mentally for the crowd, or figure out why your heart rate spiked, or just, things that led to the good and tough parts of the race. Or maybe you just don't even know, and that's okay too. If your race was hard, like mine was in Boston, it's a good idea to figure out where the wheels started coming off. For me, it was at that last hill that I think I just pushed too hard on the previous Newton hills that my legs were just done. So next time, maybe I might not go on the hills so aggressively. I know races can be kind of a blur, but I want to make sure that I just remember everything. So reflecting and even writing things down can really help this and help you remember. I like to really reflect on the race, so I remember exactly what happened. For me, I had to weave a lot, the water station got very busy, and I spiked my heart rate at the end, which made me sick. So that just helps me think about maybe how to approach those situations for the next race. How did your race compare to your race plan? It's very important to have everything planned, or I think so at least, all the way from what time you're waking up, what time you're arriving at the start line, and what you're going to do immediately after the race. Those are just a few examples. So you can think about, did you get to the start line okay? Was your hotel too far from the start line? Were you able to find restaurants? Do you have the meal that you wanted the night before or 2 nights before? So it's good to just think about these things, and maybe you might change them or get a hotel closer to the start line or closer to some more food options for the next race. Also in the race plan, how you were going to attack the actual race pace-wise. Were you able to hit the paces that you wanted or the effort that you wanted? To get a really good idea of how your pacing went, you can look at the breakdown on Garmin or on Strava and can see, some kilometers that maybe you slowed down, your heart rate, your cadence. Those give you lots of information just to give you, a snapshot of, ooh, this kilometer I slowed down, or, oh, my heart rate did spike here. So this gives you a lot of information that, again, could help you in preparing for your next race. Question number 5. How did your fueling and hydration go? For me, I was very happy with how many gels I was able to keep down in this race. I was able to do one before the race and 4 others during it. Next time, I'm going to try to do 6 gels and maybe another caffeinated gel in the mix. If you weren't able to consume many gels, maybe that means you need to practice more in your long runs or just training runs before the race. Our stomach is a muscle, and it does need to be trained and developed to handle having these gels put in them. As well, for hydrating, think about what water stations you went to, or if any. I really hope you did, but maybe you just didn't take any water. For me, I only had Gatorade throughout my whole entire race because it was hot, and I just felt like I needed that extra sugar and electrolytes and sodium in the Gatorade. I'm pretty sure I ended up doing every other water station, so not every water station, because I felt like if I had more than that, I might have been sick. And that's the thing with warmer races, and Boston was warm, that if you drink too much, you will get sick. If you drink too little, you will also get sick. So it's that fine balance. Or did you get any GI issues from your gels? Maybe you can use a different brand of gels for next time. And question number 6, what are some key takeaways from your training build and your race? What things might you do differently next time? For me, doing Boston again, even more hills. I felt like I did a lot of hills, but I needed to do more workouts, not just easy runs on hills. As well, strength training is something that I need to prioritize even more by the end and closer to peaks training season. And yes, you don't do as much, but even before peak weeks, I really wasn't doing as much strength as I wanted to, and I feel like that might have kind of not helped me in Boston. So strength training. Okay, now you've reflected on your training build and race, now it's time to recover. I'm not going to go into detail about specific things about recovery, but just emphasize the importance of taking time to recover. Recovery looks a little different for everyone, depending on if you have a race coming up after your goal race or coming soon after the race, your fitness level, as well. Maybe you have an injury now or something that's not right after the race. It's important to kind of work on those now or deal with them right now. What you do during your recovery time all depends on your physical and mental state too. If you feel super burnt out after your training build, it's probably a good idea to take a little step backwards from running and just kind of enjoy not, having to do all these big runs. And then after time away from it a little bit, you'll get that kind of crave and urge and what's the word I'm looking for, and the desire to go train again. Especially if you have any imbalances or weaknesses, before you start your big next training build, now's the time to really make sure that you build up those imbalances. So take the time if you need to away from running, but don't take too much time. You can lose your motivation to get back training if you take too much time away. So recovery doesn't mean nothing and just not moving, not doing anything. Well, it is important to recover and rest. I think movement is still really beneficial for recovery. And I've mentioned this before in my recovery videos, and I'll have a link up here in the description below as well. So you can take time from running, but maybe now's the time you can do some cross training or other sports that you always wanted to do or love to do, but it gets too hard to do them during peak training season for running. For me, I've been really enjoying being back on my bike, and I'm on my indoor trainer now, and I got Zwift, so I've been really having fun doing that. So walking, swimming, and biking, these are all really great things that are movement, but not as high impact as running can be, or is. I also wouldn't jump right into doing strength training with these big heavy weights. When you do these big weights and big sessions at the gym, you still put your body under stress and has to recover from it. And especially if you haven't fully recovered from your big goal race effort, you could compromise your body and get injured or delay your recovery. It's almost been a month since Boston, so I've been starting to do body weight exercises, and soon I'll start adding weights in. I'm doing it very gradually though, so my body has a chance to get used to it, and especially as I'm starting to run more now, I don't want to overwhelm my body and maybe get injured. Eventually, I want to do a lot more strength before I start doing my next training build, as I want to work on some imbalances and weaknesses that I found, and this is the time to do strength training in your base building time, only when you're fully recovered though from your goal race. So before you start training for your next big race, maybe take some time to reflect, to recover, and maybe just have a little time between these big goals. You don't want to get burnt out or injured, and this could happen if you just jump immediately back into another big training session or training cycle. So use the information that you got from reflecting on your race and your training build, and think about it and see how you can implement it into your next training cycle and eventual race. Find the information in this video helpful, especially if you just finished your race or going to shortly, and give you just the chance to reflect on your weeks and months of training and that awesome race day. Let yourself feel feelings, like be happy, or you can be sad. Then after letting yourself feel these feelings, it's now time to use that information and help yourself have an even better training build and race next time. Do you have any questions that you ask yourself after races? Please share them in a comment below. Happy reflecting and recovering, and I'll see you next time.